Everybody good? Can you hear me back there, Spears? Good. So it's great to see a lot of, as Captain Jorgensen already said, it's great to see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of folks that we've all had the pleasure to serve with. But we're really here to honor Russ today and his family. Russ today, as he retires, is joining a very exclusive club. I call it the 17% Club. 17% of all the sailors that raise their right hand, or all of DoD personnel who raise their right hand and swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, make it to 20 years and to retirement. Today, Russ, you get to join that club. So now you get to hang out at the Green Cove Springs American Legion and talk about your sea stories just like the rest of those retired folks. Russ enlisted in 1993, ironically the same year I graduated from high school, out of Pinellas Park, Florida. He headed off then to A School to become what is now formally known as the rate of AW, now that we've done away with the rating system. I went through Pensacola, through A School, went through Aircrew School, and then found his way all the way out, far off the left coast, out in Hawaii at VP9. Did his first tour out there, served with them, but then knew that he had to get back to the right coast in Florida, being a Florida kid. So he came back to Jacksonville for his first tour, as Captain Jorgensen mentioned, his first tour here back at VP30. That first tour started his first in a long line of tours here at Naval Air Station Jacksonville. So the man sitting in front of you could be classified as the dawn of the Jax Mafia. 5 tours, 4 on the flight line, 1 at water survival, all here consecutively at NAS Jax. So how he managed to do that, I have no idea. But if anyone's out there who needs to gouge on it, come see him afterwards. He should be able to help you out. What? So I also am a card-carrying member of the Jax Mafia, but I've bounced with a couple of tours away from here as well. Russ and I first met, as Captain Jorgensen said, in VP 45. Showed up as a second-class petty officer, a gangly guy, talking a lot about his basketball game. So for those of you who are out there that deployed with us to Sigonella that year, we had some pretty intense battles on the basketball court, wardroom, chief's mess, and enlisted folks, of which Captain Jorgensen was also had the pleasure to be involved in. And the good thing about Russ is he's very quiet, but he's still very type A. I'm not very quiet, and I'm very type A. So there were several times that, only due to his height, not due to his skill, that he got the better of me. But that is where kind of our relationship, the foundation of our relationship started. I left VP 45 for another tour. He came back here once again to VP 30. And about midway through his tour, Russ got really excited because you know what was about to happen? I was about to get orders to VP 30. So Russ and I got the opportunity to serve together again. He finished up here as the Ops Sceds LPO, and then something else happened. I was lucky enough to screen for department head, and the drop came down, and I got VP 26 that was coming here to Jacksonville. So guess what? At the time, Chief Toelken did. Of course, he called the detailer and begged him to give him orders to VP 26 so he could once again serve with me. So he was lucky enough, he got orders to VP 26, and everything kind of lined up. We talked a lot about it. We said, hey, our dream would be that I could become the OPSO of the squadron, and I would want no one else to be my Ops LCPO. So everything kind of started working. We started all working our angles, pushing Skipper Dahlke, pushing Skipper Thors around a little bit, and they said, okay, you get your wish. So you're going to be the OPSO for deployment, and Russ is going to be your LCPO. And I'll be honest with you, it was one of the greatest feelings to know that I had somebody that I'd served so many tours with that I truly trusted that was going to be my LCPO. We left. We went to some Connex boxes and some RLBs in the South Deserts of Bahrain, and we spent 7 months on deployment doing ops back in the OCO days, where we still had a lot of flying to do. Russ put up with a lot of hijinks, a lot of me yelling, a lot of me screaming. He took it all with a grain of salt. Luckily, there was though it was not a very sturdy, there was a bulkhead between my desk and his, so that if it ever really got too heated, he always just came up, shut the door so he didn't have to hear it anymore. But we set unbelievable numbers on that deployment, numbers that haven't been matched since, due mostly to his ability to manage the schedule and to manage me. It was not an easy task, which is not an easy task. We actually went through a whole 6-month deployment and we canceled 2 sorties. So those numbers still sit on there today. They're the anomaly. It wasn't just us that did it, it was a squadron effort. But Russ had a ton to do with that during that time in 26. But today is not all about Russ and finishing up his tour. It's also about his family. They've served just as Russ has for the last 24 years. His parents, Linda and Dan, thank you for setting the stage, for grooming such a fine young man and instilling the morals and values that would lead to his success later and setting his moral compass accurately as a young man so that he can continue to serve this great nation. To Maggie and Andy, thanks for always supporting them, always being there. Andy, one of the greatest moments that you and your dad and I had together was in Bahrain, watching that little grainy clip on YouTube of you jacking one, a walk-off homer to continue your guys' run, Clay High School's run in the Florida State playoffs. So we watched that thing a million times, and that was right about the same time, unfortunately, that Florida State beat Notre Dame in the Weed Eater Bowl that year. So also to his sister Dana and husband Mike, thanks for showing up. I know it means a ton to Russ to have all of you guys here today. The one thing to remember, though he was sad on the flight line when he was saying goodbye to everyone, he loved deployments. Russ loved to serve. He loved to be with the sailors, as was mentioned by Captain Jorgensen. You won't find a finer chief petty officer in the Navy when it comes to operating, staying at a high op tempo, but also always caring about his sailors. And he had no problem mentoring his officers, and I can tell you firsthand as the OPSO, when I was driven by the mission, and I kind of lost sight of the sailor portion of that, and Russ had no problem shutting the door and coming in and kind of adjusting rudder for me. A little-known physicist once said, if I am to see further, it's because I stand on the shoulders of giants. And I've been able to achieve a lot in my career because I've stood on shoulders of great people. Flip, sitting out there, yeah, no, for those of you who know our relationship, I'm throwing a little positive your way. But also, Russ, you're one of those giants. You've done so much for me, mentoring me over the years, and ultimately just being a friend. I couldn't ask for anything more, and I'm very appreciative that you asked me to be part of your ceremony here today. The last thing, I'll close with just a few more things. Russ, in all the years, you've impacted thousands of sailors. You've called all those sailors shipmate. We're told by Big Navy that shipmate is a term of endearment. To some it is, to some it's negative. But of all of those, I know for me, I've developed a very tight inner circle, or a circle of what I call my friends. It's a very tight circle of all those shipmates, and I consider you one of those individuals. And I hope that in your next journey, as you move off to do whatever, maybe I'll see you at the Eagle Harbor pool while I'm drinking a beer and you're skimming out the leaves or something like that. But I hope you'll always stay in contact. And I hope just so that you know that if you ever need anything, no matter what time of day, no matter where I'm at, you can always pick up the phone, call me, text me, whatever, and my family and I will be there for you. The last thing that I'll leave you all with, as you know, some of you know I'm a Notre Dame fan, and the greatest coach in Notre Dame history is Lou Holtz. So he's also a great motivational speaker, and in Lou Holtz's autobiography, he summed it all up with something that I felt was very relevant for today's ceremony. So he said, I don't want to be known for successes that I've had in coaching. I don't want to be known for successes that I've had as a public speaker. Significance. Helping others to better their lives through word and deed lasts forever. So Russ, in those words, you have been significant. You have been significant to more people than you'll ever know. some outwardly, some inwardly. But through your word and deed, you've had incredible impact on sailors, the Navy, and this nation. On behalf of everyone and the Navy, I'd like to thank you. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless each and every one of you. God bless the Navy, and most of all, God bless the United States of America.